Well, good evening, YouTube, and welcome back to Manning Music. For those of you that know me, you know that I love animation and cartoons, and for a myriad of reasons. But chief amongst is the creativity that gets breathed into all of these ideas. The creativity of the concepts, the characters, especially the storyline, and of course the music, obviously. And uh, and so there's just this. There's one show that I've been rewatching and something I've loved for a long time, and at the end of one of the episodes, they have this little final scene where they actually it's a little poignant and has a little more weight to it. Not something to bum you out, but it's actually used for character development, which I love character development. And this does it adds another layer to this character and adds another layer to the show. And which I love when they can sneak that in, kind of underneath the currents of the humor. They can give you little gems like this that are, like I said, poignant and give layers. So they achieved this with a little minor cadence. So it's a very simple thing. We're in G minor, okay, and they used the major three chord, the B flat, the major five, the D, and then into one, the G minor. So B flat, D, G, right? So that's the basic chord progression right there. Now, when I listened to it and went to sleep and thought about it and dreamed about it and then got up and went to work and actually started kind of picking out what I was hearing, I picked out the descending line B flat A G, which is basically the spelling out the chord movement in so many ways. And I don't always get it right the first time, and this is one of those. So they actually wrote it a little bit different, but I'll play that for you in a minute. Now, I did get the melody right once I picked that out. Kind of seems a little open-ended, not really going anywhere, but place it with the bass line. It actually is quite suitable. So here we go. I'm going to sing it for you, and bless you for listening to this. Bum, 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 bum. So there you have it. Now that's what the bass line that I picked out. Now the bass line they actually wrote, a little more interesting, okay? Not just a simple walking down line, right? So let's sing the melody, right? So let's sing that over the bass line that they wrote. Bum, 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 bum. A little more interesting and actually a little bit more comfortable, a little more eloquent even with the harmonies that are reached. The reason is when you use that descending line, you go that B flat to the A, which is in the D chord, and then you hit the G. But the note that you're playing in the top, whenever you do this, E flat over the A, that creates a very interesting interval, which is called the tritone. In old times, and there was a time period they used to call this kind of the devil's chord. It's got that very dissonant sound. So that's what's happening whenever you play the theme over the descending line that I first picked out, which is why that's got a little bit more crunch to it. Dun 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 dun. So whenever you play it over the line that they wrote, which, like I said, a little more harmonious, a little more comfortable, a little more eloquent. Bum ba dum bum bum bum. Now the interval there is actually a minor sixth, which is a little bit more pleasant. Minor sixth, major third, minor thirds, major sixes. Those are the real pleasant, friendly intervals that we get in music theory. So that's what you're listening to is that D sharp over the F sharp, and so that's what you're hearing there. La da, and then the D's nice. The D's line up, and then you sing the D over the G, which still keeps the chord there, and lets the melody ring. So again, what I thought I heard, which is a little uncomfortable using that tritone, la 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 la, a little weird and not as interesting with the correct bass line, la 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 la. And I get to use this now, and hopefully in some writing that I do. Hopefully I'll take the lesson, if not, obviously we're not trying to quote a line and copyright infringe, but to take that lesson, to find a different way to write the chord and the bass line so that it's more interesting, more harmonic, and more eloquent. Uh, I know this was a much more talkative than playing episode of Manny Music, and hopefully we'll do less talking later. But this was one of those little writing techniques and listening techniques that you have to do. You need to listen first before you start writing. It's the same way with literature. You have to read first and then write, and that's the order of the conduit. Listen first, and then produce. Have a good evening.